What if I told you that the average employee is only productive 2.5 hours of the 8-hour workday? Yes, you heard me correctly. We're only productive 2.5 hours of our 8-hour workday. And this brings me back to the short work week and how that impacts that. What we can do to utilize the extra time that we're working is to put in an extra 45 minutes a day of productivity over Monday through Thursday, gaining higher percentages in productivity, and still having that Friday off, free Fridays. So what they've decided and learned is that increasing work-life balance has helped everything else level out across the board. And you may ask, how is that? Well, take this little monkey for instance. You ask, why do I have a monkey? Well, this is a toy. And toys usually relate to children. Children usually relate to families. And one of the top complaints by not only employees, but also by people who run corporations and own corporations. They don't have a good work-life balance. They don't have a lot of time for their families. They kind of throw money at problems. So what this does, and you may ask, well, I don't see that work-life balance makes money, so how does it help a company? Well, it actually does make money, not in a tangible sense, but when you have people with a better mindset, more mindfulness, open-minded, and rested, they tend to have a more open and flowing, vast creativity. They're more creative, they're more innovative, depending on what their job calls for. They manage their time better. And the short work week kind of promotes all these things. So if you're able to be in a good place when you get home, where you can leave work at work and really focus on your children, your spouse, your family, your friends, your social life, it really makes a difference in the way that you go back to the workplace and present yourself. You're rested, you're open-minded, you're creative, you manage your time better. When you know you have less time to do something, you get right to it and get it done. The way to give the Friday off is to possibly work 40 hours in 4 days. And you may say, well, I don't know if I want that longer work day. But the benefit of 3 full days off is huge. And it's been proven in many studies, an NPR study, a Forbes study, that many employees have returned to the workplace and given their employers much more revenue, much more productivity, and a better workplace, a better place of engagement. And what many employers have said is not only does it increase their productivity, but it also creates a better sense of teamwork. Employees are more willing to work as a team to get things done so that they can all benefit from this day off. And you don't want to be that person that's not giving your 100%. So it kind of motivates people to possibly not slack and do better. Studies have shown it. There's also a huge change in cost reduction for the companies that implement these 4-day work weeks. Not just overhead costs, but also costs in paying out sick time, medical insurance. People are sick less when they rest more. People have to take off work less when they have a Friday off. They have a weekday off to get things done that you can't do on the weekend. So those Fridays kind of fall into place and work that way. And what it's also shown is it helps with diversity. And there are many demographics of diversity. For instance, women are more inclined to work for industries and lean towards industries with a better work-life balance. So therefore, many companies have seen an increase in the hiring of women, the hiring of women in positions of management and leadership. And it also has an impact on older and younger people who like these flexible, shorter schedules. Younger people, because it kind of transitions from their college life or just the flexibility to go to college while you're working a full-time job. And older people like it because, of course, they have that time off to do things that they need to do, possibly start volunteering and doing things that help them transition into the life of retirement later on. However, with all good things, there are some bad. And a Business Insider study with many labor unions in the US have come to the conclusion that although it is a great idea in theory, it would really, really impact the hourly wage workers in America. And that study showed that 65 million Americans work for less than $14 an hour on a medium living wage of approximately $43,000. So that doesn't match up. And that's why it's a struggle. So you can imagine the fear of losing a day would be to them. So some of the solutions have been to work 40 hours in 4 days, have a 10-hour workday rather than an 8-hour workday, and then enjoy the full weekend. And also pay raises to be implemented through the money that is put back in from the cost reductions, as well as legislation with Congress and our state government to raise our minimum wage would be a huge help, and that would help a lot. But also having a flexible schedule where it helps both the hourly worker and the industries, because not all industries are conducive to Monday through Friday. Some industries need weekend workers. So those individuals could possibly work 4 days through the week and through the weekend and then have a few weekdays off, and vice versa. So there is a way to make it work for everyone. And in doing so, what we can do is create a better environment for all of us, because I think just as a country, we're all stressed out, both with our economy, socially, civilly, and it is so wonderful to see the impact that it's had on many nations and how it hasn't negatively impacted their GDP or their business. Germany has the shortest work week in the world to date. 3 days. Yeah. And they still have a very high GDP, very high productivity. It hasn't impacted them in the least. Sweden is like number 4, and they implemented this over 15 years ago. And then there's Switzerland. Switzerland remains the top nation in innovation with the short work week that they started about a decade ago. So it can work. It's just going to take more thought processes in how we can positively impact everyone, including our low wage earners, to where they're still getting that relaxation and that time off that everyone else would get, but they're still managing to maintain their hourly wage with a raise. So at the end of the day, we need to look at the fact that one key point, Americans are working 4 weeks longer in a year than we worked in 1979. Well, when I say we, I mean me. Not everyone was here in 1979. But yes, we're working like a month longer per year than we were working in 1979. So I think it's time. I think it's a well-deserved break. And I really hope that many more corporations, we do have some small companies in America that have implemented it, and they say that it works well. So what I would say is, come Friday, instead of starting your day with this, why not start your afternoon with this? Free Fridays.